I appreciate you coming today, all of you, to testify on a very important subject, and it's certainly very disturbing, some of the information that we have heard. And I know, Madam Administrator, you're relatively new to this job and new to this position, so I appreciate what you're trying to do with your agency and some of the steps that you've been taking to identify the challenges, map out an appropriate course of action to remedy some of these issues that have been revealed by the various other government entities. I want to ask you a question. Do you think the Hubzone program is worth keeping?
What I can
Is it beneficial to our economy, beneficial to small business?
Yes, Congressman Fallin, the noble mission of Hubzone is about job creation and economic development, and in the most challenging areas, as I explained earlier. To suspend a program that meets the needs of so many, this is not about a program problem. This is about program management problem, and it's my responsibility to ensure that we put in the controls and address all those deficiencies, so a program such as Hubzone and others are not negatively impacted by the loose controls that we have, and then would be accessible to fraud or misrepresentation or the eligibility of the applicants.
That's good to hear. And let me ask you something else. What would happen, and I'll ask maybe all of you, if we had an announcement, and maybe you've already done this, but an announcement by all of you that said we are not going to tolerate fraud and abuse of government taxpayer dollars, especially as it deals with Hubzones or any other program within the SBA. And here's some cases we identified that are going to be prosecuted promptly. We're going to take care of them, and we're going to give everybody in the nation a warning who may be taking advantage improperly of this program that we are going to crack down, and you better get ready.
Congressman Fallin, I believe we've accomplished that already by being named collectively with GAO and IG on a press release that just went out. That's just the beginning, because the proof is in the suspensions and the debarment activity, as well as making sure that we communicate this in the forums that we participate in. As you know, we attend government contracting matchmaking events, summits, conferences, and that is our platform to make sure that we articulate this stringent observation and controls.
Somebody wants to say something here?
Yes.
Sure. I think you're right on target. Advertising that people are being held accountable and giving people an opportunity as an amnesty program to come forth and decertify themselves, I think would have an effect. But the suspension and debarment is critical. Mr. Casso said that pretty much takes you out of the government business for a year, 2 years, 3 years, plus you can't get government grants and other types of payments. So that is a real consequence. And if people knew that their lifeline was at stake, basically, from a business perspective, they would come forth.
And let me ask you this. After hearing the plan of action that she has laid forth, and it takes a long time to change government at times. It's unfortunate, but it just does. It's hard to work through the people who have been in government for a long time, and even the red tape and the bureaucracy itself. But do you feel like the plan that the administrator has laid forth with the timelines, with the procedures, and what her agency hopes to do with restructuring and the goals that they have in place is moving in the right direction?
Let me talk about the fraud, and then Mr. Scheer can talk from a performance standpoint. But from a fraud standpoint, we haven't seen a fraud prevention plan yet, so I'm not aware of one. They're working towards one. It sounds like they just heard from us last week. When we do covert testing, we don't tell them we're coming. We don't tell them until we're done. So it's going to take some time to see, but you have a mess on your hands effectively. I mean, you've got to fix the application process to put fraud prevention controls in place, and then you've got to figure out what you're going to do with 10,000 plus companies in the system. You can't go audit all 10,000 of them. So that's why your idea of publicizing some poster children type cases could potentially do some of your work for you in the early stages. So that's kind of where we are on the fraud side.
When we make recommendations to an agency, and in this case it's a program where we have we identified very severe deficiencies in this program and recommended corrective action, we are always glad when the agency agrees with us and states that they're going to take action. This is the concern I would raise here for Administrator Carranza and for this committee, is that The response, when we received at the beginning of June, to our program audit in terms of agency comments, and the response today, I think there's might not be a recognition of the size of the task that is involved. Some things can be done fairly easily to try to get a handle on the issue, which could be using data smarter to try to identify the virtual offices, the locations where you have multiple Hubzone firms, and the like. But some of these things, especially verification of employees, all these other types of actions we've recommended, are more difficult. So I do have we have a concern as far as the ability to do this quickly. At a minimum, we would like to see a process in place so that it could lead to success down the road. And as far as the specific plans, such as developing regulations and policies and procedures around certification and recertification, it's in a draft stage. It hasn't been shared with us yet. We'd be glad to work constructively with the agency as they move forward, but we don't know what the plan is.
Now, let me ask you, Administrator, are you willing to work with him as they move forward on these plans?
Last week, when we met, to answer your question, Congressman Fallin, 30 days from now, I'm not supposed to give exact dates, but 30 days from now, I invited him back to the office so that we can look at our strategy and evaluate whether it's sufficient or not.
Time is expired.
Thank you.